Well, Dina, thank you for your kind introduction. And we thank you and your team of volunteers, our exhibitors, our instructors, and our PIA staff for making this day a success. You have to work hard to make things look easy, and you worked hard, and it shows. Congratulations to Alan DeForest and Sean Viania. You are most deserving of these recognitions. And isn't it nice to hear all these wonderful comments from a vertical position? I also want to recognize our national president, Tim Russell. Tim's from Connecticut and a member of the PIA family. And welcome, Tim. We thank you for taking time to attend this event. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share some thoughts this afternoon. Our Glenmont PR staff really promoted this part of the program, so I hope I can live up to your expectations. So let's get started. This is my axe. It's been in our family for 4 generations. It's had 3 new heads and 4 new handles. Is my axe still my axe? Let's keep this question in the back of our minds while we look at some history. I entered the business in 1974, and needless to say, I've seen a lot of changes. Here's my high school graduation present. American Heritage Dictionary and a Smith Corona manual typewriter. I think each weigh about the same. And you don't see these anymore, except maybe in the Smithsonian or in our basement, much to my wife's chagrin. On the left is a calculator. You either used one or saw it when your parents brought you to take your child to work day. On the right is one of the first Texas Instruments handheld calculators. Once this came out, people lost the ability to add a column of figures in their head. On the left is a microfiche reader. Microfilm revolutionized the document storage industry back then. On the right is a CPT word processor. What a great machine. Allowed us to edit documents without starting over or in the middle. Made life a lot easier, but it invited sloppiness and increased the length of documents. Telephones sure have changed. Improved technology made it easier to dial out, place on hold, transfer calls, conference, you name it. From simple copier and fax machine to multifunction copier, scanner, fax, to BizHub. We were one of the first agencies to buy a fax machine. We were really excited until we figured out there was no one to fax to. Our first agency management system took a lot of space. We took 2 backup disks home every night in big cases, heavy enough to excuse a trip to the weight room. So today we have the computer, cell phone, laptop, iPad, and more. I often said to my colleagues when computers were introduced into the workforce that if you were disorganized before computers, you will be disorganized after computers, only faster. So I went through this exercise to remind us that we've experienced quite an evolution in our business. Although the tools we use to conduct business every day have changed dramatically, the challenges we face have not. Let's look at 3. Competition's always been there, and it seems to be getting more intense, and technology has changed the players. When many of us started out, the transaction followed the relationship. Now, especially in personal lines and small business, the relationship seems to follow the transaction. Regardless of whether the sale is transactional or relationship-based, we have to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. And this is why we should think PIA first. Our website lists 21 different tools and resources in addition to our quick source library. We can and should be better prepared than our non-member competitors. Our award-winning publications include something for everyone. The PIA National Buy Button Initiative is intended to enable agents to bind coverage at the point of sale, and we will be seeking your support as this project moves forward. Our relationship building, the New York State Insurance Fund Producer Advisory Council, has 4 PIA members on that group, And we've seen a vast improvement in how NYSIP interacts with agents and allows access to their systems so we can better serve our clients. The council also opens up the lines of communication so we can have more dialogue in the future. We collaborate with other associations like the Big I and NIA. Some examples include our guiding principles of cybersecurity and endorsement of legislative initiatives. Regulation. PIA's legal team and our lobbyists have done an exemplary job of forging and maintaining relationships with our legislators and regulators. We have to play both offense and defense. Here's what transpired this past year. Sometimes we have to take legislative action to fix an administrative problem, and so it was with the continuing education requirements for entity sub-licensees. The CE requirement will be eliminated effective 12/1/2018 for sub-licensees who also have individual licenses with the same lines of authority as the entity license. This legislation's been on the table for 4 years. This year we got it done, and here's why. The chairs of the insurance committees in the Assembly and Senate know and respect PIA. They were willing to listen, understand the problem, and sponsor the bills. We met face-to-face with the Deputy Superintendent of DFS. They understood the issue and drafted language that was incorporated into the legislation. So why December 1st, 2018? DFS has to program the computers to get this done. Anti-arson applications in Buffalo are no longer required. This was a quick fix. We know our local delegates because we visit them every year and review our PIA legislative initiatives. We want them to think PIA first, and you never know when it will pay off. This time it did. Remember, half of life is just showing up. So I encourage you to participate in your local district office visits. Glenn Knott will help you prepare. Awaiting the governor's signature is legislation to require conditional renewal notices for workers' compensation policies. When PIA sends out a call to action, it takes less than 2 minutes to go online to the governor and voice your support. Please join us. The more they see we care about these bills, the more likely they will become law. Sometimes we win by preventing legislation. We were vocal in turning back proposed legislation to increase the fines that DFS could impose from a maximum of $1,000 to a maximum of $10,000. We also work with other associations to turn back trial lawyers' initiatives to expand liability for insurance carriers. So what's in process? Payment of commissions by the state fund, elimination of the NYSIP 30-day notice of cancellation letter, elimination of auto photo inspections, and standardizing hurricane deductible triggers. Did you take the survey this year? We want to hear from you, because your voice is important. The PIANY PAC information is in your packet, and please review it. Your participation is important at any level. Our legislators need to know that our members are engaged, so anything you can do will be greatly appreciated. Cybersecurity is on everyone's agenda. I've been in this business for 43 years. And for most of my career, we never worried about cybersecurity because we didn't have cyber. Hacking took the form of break-ins and dumpster diving. The most famous being, anybody? What's the most famous hack in Watergate? All they wanted were documents. Same scenario today. They would have hacked the system, taken what they wanted, and left without leaving a trace. Regulation 500 came about after the governor put out a press release September 19, 2016, announcing that New York State would have the most comprehensive cybersecurity regulation in the country by January 1st, 2017. Now, how would you like to be the person at DFS responsible for creating regulations for every bank, insurance company, agency, and individual under their jurisdiction, in time for a 30-day comment period and ready to go by the first of the year? To put this in perspective, the NAIC has been working on their model legislation for 2 years. They were on their 6th draft till they voted through this past week. New York had 1 draft, followed by a second, which obtained the final red, effective March 1st of this year. Past cybersecurity regulations focused on defense. Now DFS wants us to play both sides of the ball. The good news is that PIA was at the table. And here's what we told them. The original draft, DFS could not regulate, and independent agents could not comply with it. A limited exemption required fewer than 10 employees, and less than $5 million of revenue, and less than $10 million of assets. We convinced DFS to change the word "and" to "or." The original draft was all-encompassing. We moved the focus to risk-based, and your plan of action is based on your vulnerability to successful attacks. Transition periods. The original draft required everything to be completed in 6 months. We were successful in convincing them to incorporate transition periods ranging from 6 months to 2 years. PIA also wanted to make sure that our members had a resource that was competitively priced to enable you to comply with the regulation, and Tag Solutions stepped in. Question for all of us here in the room: how many heard of this regulation from a source other than PIA or some other industry association? I don't think we're going to see any hands. Right? PIA's timely commitment to communication is a very high priority. And just an FYI, even though you qualify for the limited exemption and you don't have to collect third-party information that you hold, if somebody is involved with you and they want the information from you and they're not exempt, you have to give it to them. Some carriers already started this process. And finally, have you purchased cybersecurity for your agency? Last on my list of challenges is perpetuation. The people walking in are not the same as the people walking out. They have a different frame of reference and different expectations. Our challenge is to balance their drive and impatience with the investment in time and effort required for them to become credible to carriers, clients, and co-workers. Automation will tell them that 1 and 1 equals 2. We have to make sure they understand why 1 and 1 equals 2. They also have to understand that getting to the top involves a ladder and not an elevator. This is a pretty complicated business. PIA has all of the tools and resources to help us bring people on board and prepare them for the future. So what's our role? To me, this story tells it all. A neighbor was comforting a little girl after their house burned to the ground. I'm so sorry you lost your home," said the neighbor. And the little girl looked up and said, "We have a home, we just don't have a house to put it in." When things go wrong, people will come forward with sympathy and compassion, and we do that too. But if we've done our jobs, we do something no one else can. We bring money and sound advice so they can rebuild that house that will contain their home. Let's always remember why we're here. We help people and organizations avoid financial hardship. So now we've come full circle. Our tools have evolved. Our challenges, although more intense, have not deviated much from these categories. And our important role in society continues. This is my axe. It's been in our family for 4 generations. It's had 3 new heads and 4 new handles. Is my axe still my axe? What say you? Thank you.